Hey everyone, I wanted to tell you about a weird dream I had. So, it is currently on the edge of the apocalypse, and my sister and I decided to start a caricature drawing business, so we bought a food truck. We stationed this food truck in this area that would most likely get the biggest hits, but unfortunately, there were a lot of cameras everywhere, and food trucks aren't allowed. And our caricature food truck didn't really get into any trouble because it was the brink of the apocalypse, so no one was really regulating that. My sister and I and my mom wanted to ensure that we got enough money so that we can somehow survive the apocalypse. During this time, we wanted to draw caricatures in cute chibi-esque fashion. One day, my mom comes up to me and she needs me to go to the bazaar with her so that we can get supplies, mostly food. And I have to leave my sister alone, and this was about the first day that we had to start the caricature business, and she's on her own. So, in my dream, my mom was battling some kind of disease, and we were intending to write a book about it to make more money. And this disease apparently made her eccentric, and she was very youthful and free-spirited. So, we finally go to the bazaar. And while going to the bazaar, it turns into this 1700s, 1800s time period before my dream was stationed in modern day. And all of a sudden, everyone is in big poofy dresses that reminds me of Victorian England. And these kids roll by and they're on scooters and skateboards, but they're water powered. So very steampunk. And all of a sudden, one of them bumps into me. And they purposely break off the handle of this contraption. And me and my mom go on this rolling water-powered steampunk adventure where we're crashing into things. And then we end up spinning around a pole over and over and over until both of us fall out. And I go and help her up. And during this time, two of her acquaintances, one of which is named Amanda, they're very judgy women, see us, and my mom laughs nervously as she walks over toward them to greet them. And my mom, nervous as she is because this lady is very judgy, was like, "Oh, these contraptions they make these days." And the lady is like, "Well, those things are for the devil is minded. How could you be on one of those?" And they just keep talking until finally someone brings it up and says, "I made buttercream cake today. Care to have some?" So we finally go to the chef who created the buttercream cake for the judgy lady Amanda. And Amanda says, "Could you do the honors?" to my mother. And my mother says, "Oh, I couldn't possibly. I have no strength in my fingers left." But once the chef begins to cut the cake, my mom yanks the knife from the chef and starts cutting the cake. And creates a very, very big piece toward the edge of the cake, grabs that piece, and stuffs her face. During this time, both Amanda and her companion are looking at us in a very judgmental and confused way, and I'm getting worried because I don't want them to say anything bad about my mom. Next thing I know, the chef comes up to me, and he is carrying this beautiful rose with the stem on, and on the stem are feathers and colorful leaves, and it's just red and purple and blue, and it looks really pretty. And I'm thinking, I'm gonna give this to my sister because she's been working hard all day and she doesn't have anybody there with her to make these caricatures, so I'm gonna surprise her with this rose. So my mom and I head back. It's already getting dark. We go to her food truck, and it turns out she only sold one caricature to one family. Although they were happy about it, business was slow. Fortunately, my sister wasn't alone all day. She had her companion slash partner slash love interest, who was this beautiful African-American princess named Ava. It seemed like she was just a cameo, because after all this, it turns out we had a bit of difficulty with this caricature business, and my sister and Ava had to go on a date the next day. So I was going to be the one who was going to be staffing the food truck caricature business. And then my anxiety hits in my dream. What if I'm not able to replicate the same style as my sister does in caricatures? What if I can't create the same quality artwork that my sister provides in caricatures? What if I ruin the family business and I start panicking? And all of a sudden, my dream switches and turns into something completely different. I am with a doctor of medicine and my partner, and the apocalypse has just hit. Earlier part of my dream is currently gone from my mind, and we are trying to find shelter because we know that something is going to happen. We also notice that people are off the streets and it is awfully quiet. So we finally get toward these train tracks, and on these train tracks was a broken down house. It had a cracked window, and it was decent for shelter, but it was something. And that was where we were going to live and where we were going to lock ourselves up for the apocalypse so that we could survive the night. We ended up needing to explore the area for provisions. We left our shelter and kept following the train tracks and found another house on train tracks. I don't know why everyone is making houses on train tracks. It doesn't really seem to be a good idea, but hey, dream logic. And in this house, we were accompanied by a huge group of people, and they were healthy people. Everything was fine with them until all of a sudden, all of them froze up in a straight line in an orderly fashion, and that's where it got creepy. All of their faces and their bodies got frostbite and bunch of obtrusions to the skin and cuts. We started to feel unsafe, but unfortunately all three of us had to use the bathroom, and we did, and one of my partners got missing. And the doctor started rushing me. We have to go, we have to leave. But I can't leave without my partner. I mean, we've been together throughout this entire apocalypse, so I can't leave them. But the doctor starts walking away down the train tracks toward our old house, and when I realize he's the only one who knows the way back to our shelter. So I start panicking, and I start noticing that these people in the line are starting to reanimate. They're starting to twitch their hands. They're starting to slowly open their eyes, and I run to try to find my partner, and I can't find my partner. And the more I look toward the doctor, the more the doctor is fading away and walking farther and farther, and I'm running out of time. And that's where I woke up.